Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, we are going to make a garlic studded, perfectly juicy, delightfully golden brown and crispy on the outside prime rib. I love prime rib. It is absolutely a treat. And this is what I'm going to tell you. Take it from me. I stopped doing Christmas gifts a long time ago when I was pregnant and I couldn't get down to wrap a gift. So here's what I said. I said I will do a nice prime rib dinner for my friends, not even on the main day, but like for my friends, and that is going to be your Christmas gift because prime rib is expensive. And when you're making prime rib for people, it's a real treat. So don't do presents for your friends. Get yourself an 8-pound prime rib and make a beautiful prime rib dinner, and you'll go down in history as the best hostess in the world. And now everybody looks forward to it every year. This is the third year, 16, 17, 18. This is the third year in a row that I've been doing this tradition, and it's great. So let me show you how I do it because I think this is the perfect prime rib, and it's really foolproof. Now, the size is going to vary depending on what you want or how many people you're serving. This is close to 8 pounds, and it's got three bones. It's a three bones, and what you want to ask your butcher, and now whether you go to a specific like butcher to get your prime rib or the butcher section in your grocery store, ask your butcher to remove the bones but reattach them back on. That's what he's done here, and I want to show you because this is really important. It makes carving so easy, but you definitely want the bones because there's a lot of flavor there and it acts like a little rack. So you can see he took those off, right? It's all cut, but he reattached them back on. So it's perfect. Also, I don't use a tray with a rack. I much rather use a oven-proof skillet, and I make a bed with some rough cut vegetables. This is going to be the rack because all the juices and the flavor and drippings from the prime rib along with this goodness right here is going to add to the little gravy that I make to serve with it. Now, you can do a garlic rub on the outside, but you're going to start this at a 500-degree oven, and chances are that garlic will burn. I don't want that. So here's what you do. You take some thinly sliced garlic. Don't use whole garlic cloves for this because it'll never get tender enough because it's just not going to have enough time to cook down. You make a little slit, okay, just like that. You take a piece of garlic, it's just a sliver, and you shove that in there. And you take a little piece of rosemary and you do the same thing. I just shove it right in there, and then you just take a paring knife and you let that help you. And this is going to infuse throughout the meat and be absolute perfection. I'm going to go ahead and do that while I have the oven preheating to 500 degrees. You heard that right, but I'll walk you through everything else. So I'm going to just get to work in here, and then we'll move on to the next step. You know, this looks gorgeous already. Like, it already looks festive. So now this is what you do. You take plenty of salt. This is a big hunk of meat, and meat that's undersalted is a real shame. I just go all the way on the side. I don't bother doing the bottom. I just do all the sides, the front, and the top, obviously. It looks like it's a lot of salt, and it is, but you need it to be. And then pepper all over. Oh, this is going to be gorgeous. It's going to make your house smell phenomenal. Okay, and now this is the magical part. This is going to sound weird, but I have not steered you wrong before. Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard adds a lovely note of flavor here that you just would not believe. It's tangy, it's delicious, it's not overpowering at all. You almost can't even tell that it's Dijon mustard, but somehow that flavor just sort of really infuses in the little holes of where you put the little slits of where you put the garlic and the rosemary, and it's fantastic. I have not steered you wrong yet, and trust you me, I would not let you waste a hunk of meat like this, okay? So I just do it all around the top and a little bit on the front here and the back. It also becomes like edible glue, if you will, and it makes the thyme really stick to it, just like so. So phenomenal. And then I take thyme. You notice how we salted straight on the meat first, not on top of the Dijon mustard, because you want to make sure that you are salting it and not anything else. You want to do a little bit of thyme on top. I don't do a ton of thyme. I wish I had a ton of thyme, don't we all? But it does add lovely flavor here. And then I have some extra here that I just like to add to the bottom of my pan, which I'll show you. You want a little bit of olive oil just to kind of help your veggies along a little bit. And then I take rosemary and I take some thyme, and this is going to add to the gravy, if you will. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a little drizzle of olive oil on the meat, because once I put it on the skillet, I don't want to have to wash my hands again and touch the, oh, this is going to be beautiful. Okay, now this is where, before I do that, I want to talk to you about temperature. I can't really give you how long it'll be in there because I don't know the size of your prime rib. The rule is you start at 500 degrees for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you're going to crank that heat down to 325, and you start counting 15 minutes per pound for like a medium rare situation. Now, I like to pull mine out when the internal temperature is 120, and then I let it rest for a while, and it carries over cooking to 130. That ensures that the outside slices are a little bit medium for those that like that temperature, and then the center will be a little bit more medium rare for those that like it that way. You're going to have to play around with the way you like it. So if you like a rare prime rib, pull it out at 110, which would be about 11 minutes a pound, starting at 325, and then let it over, like, you know, let it rest, and it carries over for about 10 more degrees at 120. It's up to you. Do the math. An 8-pound, it would be in there for about 120 minutes after the 15 initial minutes at 500 degrees. So I'm going to pop mine in at 500. After 15 minutes, reduce the heat to 325, and then start counting 15 minutes per pound until it's done. I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. And you know, while I have you here, I just put the prime rib in the oven. I want to make my horseradish sour cream first, because you can't serve it without it. And I like to make it now and pop it in the fridge for a couple hours until we're ready to eat it, so that all the flavors can mingle. And all you need for that is sour cream, salt and pepper, and cream-style horseradish. Not to be mistaken with prepared horseradish, because it's much, much stronger. The cream-style kind is much more mild, and you can find it just in your regular like condiment aisle right next to your mayo and your mustard. That's usually where you find it. That's the kind that you want. So you just take all three things, and you can see it. I'll just use the back of this. That is creamy, and it's already sort of like, it's already got a little bit of stuff in it, but it's not as strong as prepared horseradish. So I'm just going to mix all of those together, and then I'm going to serve it with some chopped chives when I go to serve the prime rib. So this is it. I'm going to just cover it up, pop it in the fridge, and I'll meet you back here when the meat is ready. That is pure perfection. We're right around, if this were to sit for another 10 minutes, it would get right around to 130. It's 127 on the very center, which is going to be more rare, and on the outside it'll be your more, you know, medium well-ish. This way, at least in our family, I can be sure that there's a little bit for everybody. You know what I mean? So this has been resting, by the way, covered in foil with a towel on it for half an hour. Remember, this was 8 pounds, so it was in there for 15 minutes at 500 degrees. Once I turned the temperature down to 325, I started counting 15 minutes a pound, which is around 2 hours, like 120 minutes. That method works perfect every single time, because it totally depends on the size of your roast. So the smaller the roast, the less time it needs to cook. So taking this baby out now, okay, beautiful. Let that rest for a little bit more. We are in no rush, but I want you to see what we've got going on over here, okay? This is all delicious, but it is a lot of fat. You see that? I only want a couple tablespoons. So let me grab a little vessel here, because I'm going to use some of that fat to help make like a light roux, because I don't want a thick gravy. That's good enough. I don't want all the fat, but I certainly don't want to get rid of. And this is, by the way, why I also like to use a skillet, because I can go right from oven to tabletop in no time. So what I'm going to do to this, take a potato masher, and I'm just going to mash some of these onions and the garlic, because you see what happens with the garlic, sort of starts to ooze out, and a lot of good flavors in there. So once this comes to temperature and starts heating back up, oh yeah, it's gonna look gross now, but trust me when I tell you it's gonna be fabulous. All right, I'm just gonna add a little bit of flour to this, not a lot. You're not looking to make a thick gravy, probably just like a tablespoon or two of flour is going to be perfect. Just add that in. I sprinkle a little bit at a time. And then I just mix until I can no longer see the raw flour. Now we add a little red wine. Let that just get nice and hot and start to bubble. And then, that's good enough. The pan was already really hot from the fact that it was in the oven for a couple hours. It smells wonderful. Then we add some beef stock. Add that right in. Scraping off any bits of goodness. It's thickening up, it smells fantastic. It looks like a lot, but it's gonna reduce, and then I'm gonna strain it. And then I like to add just a splash of Worcestershire, whatever you wanna call it. And all I'm gonna do now is cook this until it's about reduced by half and thickened. Then I will strain it through a sieve into a clean bowl. And then all we're gonna do is slice our roast and serve it. And that's it. So before I actually strain the gravy, because I wanna add any collective juices to that skillet, I'm gonna cut the prime rib. I just snipped off the pieces of twine that was holding the bones on, and this is how easy it is. Now you have to keep in mind there's gonna be a lot of juices that collect at the bottom of the pot of the thing here, because remember, you don't ever want to cook prime rib to a well done. Never. That would be terrible. But you just cannot imagine what it smells like in here, okay? Now the outside pieces are going to be more on the medium side, and then as you start slicing, okay, you'll get more into the medium rare, and then it'll be more rare in the very center for those that like it that way. You can see the pieces of garlic right there. Okay, right there. Perfection. I'm just gonna keep slicing. I'm gonna put this on my platter. I'm going to take any of the juices that collect on my cutting board, and I'm gonna add them to my gravy. I'm going to drain it, strain it, and then we serve. I mean, this is really spectacular. I just want you to see how juicy this meat is. I mean, there's something here. Like I said, for everyone, I strained my beautiful juices, and I like to just drizzle a little bit of this all over, just because it's nice and it's delicious, and it's just full of flavor. And then what I'll do is I'll put that in a gravy boat alongside, and then you've got your horseradish sour cream, a little bit of here, a little bit of there, a little bit for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Bunny.
Oh, hi, little bunny.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
You're doing well?
Yeah.
So wonderful to hear.
I want to
The prime rib of my dreams, every time. Foolproof, perfect method, delicious results, spectacular for a holiday. LauraInTheKitchen.com has a recipe. Go get it. You will love it. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Have you been eating pasta? Did you eat pasta?
Yeah.
I can see it's all over your face.
What's this?
Is the bunny eating oranges?
Let me go juice.
Make orange juice?
Yeah.
Squeeze it.